It began in the heart of Cologne, Germany. Not in a dimly lit back alley, but in a bustling neighborhood where legitimate businesses masked something far darker. Behind the glamour of high-end nightclubs and luxury cars, a new kingpin was quietly rising. His name? Necati Arabaci. A name whispered in fear, respect, or admiration, depending on which side of the law you stood on. Born in 1972 in Turkey, Arabaci wasn't a child of luxury. His family moved to Germany in search of better opportunities. But what Necati found was a different path altogether. One paved not with books and business degrees, but with muscle, intimidation, and a growing taste for control. In the 1990s, while most people were still adjusting to a new post-Cold War Europe, Arabaci had already embedded himself deep in the nightlife economy of Cologne. But it wasn't champagne and limos that made him rich. It was protection money. His group provided security to nightclubs, strip joints, and bars. Those who refused to pay often found themselves dealing with violence, arson, or worse. Necati Arabaci's bodyguards weren't your typical street-level thugs. These were men handpicked for their discipline, combat skills, and unwavering loyalty. Many of them were ex-Turkish military personnel, battle-hardened veterans who had seen real war zones, not just street brawls. Some had served in elite units of the Turkish armed forces, trained in close-quarters combat, weapons handling, and tactical warfare. When they walked with Necati, it wasn't just for show. These men could neutralize threats in seconds. The structure they operated under resembled a military chain of command more than a criminal gang. Each man had a role, a rank, and a code. They moved in sync, used encrypted radios to communicate, and followed strict operational discipline. Their loyalty to Necati bordered on the fanatical, fueled by respect, fear, and often a sense of purpose in serving what they saw as an empire. And that's what made Necati different. While other gang leaders hired muscle for intimidation, he built an army that treated him not just as a boss, but as a general. This strategic approach allowed him to expand his control far beyond Cologne, across European borders, with precision and brutal efficiency. But even kings must answer to someone. In 2003, German authorities finally acted. Necati Arabaci was arrested and sentenced to nearly 10 years for charges including pimping, extortion, and assault. During his trial, prosecutors painted a chilling portrait. A man who ran his empire with cold efficiency, orchestrating beatings and extracting money with little remorse. But here's where the story takes a turn. Despite the sentence, Arabaci didn't crumble. In fact, even from prison, he reportedly continued to manage parts of his criminal enterprise. Visitors came and went. Messages were passed. Control, it seemed, never truly left his hands. When he was deported to Turkey in 2007 after serving part of his sentence, many assumed it was the end of his reign in Europe. They were wrong. Dead wrong. What happened next is what sets Arabaci apart from your average mobster. Instead of fading into obscurity, he expanded his influence from abroad. His deportation to Turkey was not exile, it was expansion. From Istanbul, Arabaci allegedly continued to oversee operations in Germany, the Netherlands, Spain, and even parts of Eastern Europe. And his methods? They evolved. He began to build alliances with other powerful groups, including outlaw motorcycle gangs and Eastern European crime syndicates. These weren't just partnerships. They were strategic mergers of power, like a dark CEO forming a criminal conglomerate. European law enforcement agencies, particularly Germany's BKA, Bundeskriminalamt, continued to track him. Interpol even listed him for a time, yet charges rarely stuck. Arabaci had learned the art of staying one step ahead, delegating dirty work, hiding behind layers of legal businesses, and using his Turkish nationality to avoid extradition back to Germany. By the mid-2000s teens, he had earned a new nickname in the underground world, Der Pate, the Godfather. A German newspaper once described him as untouchable, and they weren't exaggerating. Arabaci had moved beyond the thug life. He had become a phantom figure in organized crime. No longer the one breaking kneecaps, he was the man pulling strings from luxury villas and high-rise offices. One of the most shocking developments came in 2016, when European intelligence suggested that Arabaci had gained influence over outlaw biker gangs like the Hells Angels in the Netherlands and Germany. These weren't typical alliances. The Hells Angels aren't known for sharing power, but Arabaci wasn't a typical gangster. His financial muscle, international connections, and strategic mind made him a valuable ally. Let's pause here for a moment. Let's think about the scale of this. we're not just talking about one country. Arabaci's network reportedly included human trafficking routes, drug shipments, arms deals, and real estate investments spanning multiple European nations. In 2020, Dutch and German police cracked down on several illegal brothels and money laundering fronts allegedly connected to Arabaci's network. Yet he remained elusive. No fingerprints, no direct links, just whispers, ghost trails, a name on everyone's radar, but no hand to grab. So how did he manage to stay free, while so many of his rivals ended up dead or behind bars? Part of it lies in how Arabaci structured his empire. He adopted a franchise-style model, letting local criminal leaders run operations under his umbrella, while he played the part of a businessman in Turkey. That's why authorities have had such a hard time pinning charges on him. He doesn't leave a paper trail. And while he's rarely seen in public, his lifestyle hints at his continued power. Expensive homes in Istanbul, bulletproof vehicles, and a constant entourage of bodyguards. According to intelligence reports, he remains a high-value target for both German and European police agencies. Yet ironically, he walks free, protected by Turkish law, political nuance, and his ability to never handle dirty work directly. Many call Necati Arabaci the most powerful Turkish crime figure in Europe. But here's the most haunting part. Even after decades in the game, he shows no signs of stepping down. You can shut down clubs, raid brothels, freeze assets. But the man behind the curtain, he adapts, evolves, moves. Some criminals crave fame, others crave fear. Arabaci, he craves control. One former German investigator said, when Necati went to prison, he got stronger. When he was deported, his reach expanded. It's like the more you try to stop him, the more dangerous he becomes. Today, Necati Arabaci remains a name few dare to say out loud. He is a mystery wrapped in fear, a real-world ghost king who doesn't need to appear in headlines to rule. His power is no longer about brute force or flashy displays of wealth. It's about invisibility, influence, the kind of control that moves markets, bends city councils, and makes enemies disappear without a trace or a sound. So next time you stroll past a glittering nightclub in Dusseldorf, or you see paparazzi photos of billionaires slipping into blacked-out SUVs in Monaco, or you read a real estate report about an unknown foreign investor purchasing entire apartment blocks in Berlin, pause and ask yourself, is this just another business deal? Or is this the silent footprint of a man who mastered the art of ruling from the shadows? In 2023, a rising Turkish rapper dropped a track that lit social media on fire. Fans claimed it wasn't just a song. It was a veiled diss, a lyrical jab at Arabaci's empire, cloaked in metaphor and street slang. It went viral overnight, but then just as quickly it vanished. The track was pulled from every platform. No copyright strike, no legal notice, no explanation, just gone. Coincidence? Possibly. But in the world of Necati Arabaci, nothing just happens. His silence is louder than threats, his erasure more final than retaliation. Because in his kingdom, words don't just get deleted, they disappear with the memory of who said them. And that's what makes him terrifying. He doesn't need to remind the world of who he is. The world remembers because every whisper that dares to rise against him is met with an eerie quiet that follows. The kind of quiet that says, you went too far. You forgot who's still watching. So while Europe moves on, clubs reopen, politicians change hands, and headlines fade, the boss may still be out there, watching, listening, pulling strings, and no one, not the law, not the press, not even the streets, dares to say his name too loudly.